Aurora from Stories of Old Greece and Rome, public domain reading. Aurora, the rosy-fingered goddess of the dawn, opened the gates of the morning for the impatient horses of the sun, who chafed at being held behind the golden bars until Apollo was ready to start forth on his daily course, attended by the faithful Hours. Though Aurora was the wife of Aeolus and the mother of the winds, she had the usual weakness of the deities of Olympus for falling in love with human mortals who won her favor, and thus she became enamored of the young hunter Cephalus. However, she was unable to gain his love, as he himself had already wedded the fair Procris, one of Diana's nymphs. The happiness of these lovers was a maddening sight to the jealous Aurora, and she determined to find some way to end it. Procris had brought to her husband as a dowry a hunting dog named Léamh, who could outrun the swiftest deer, and a javelin that never missed its mark. So all day long Cephalus hunted in the forest, and in his long absences gave the malicious Aurora an excuse for whispering rumors to the young wife that her husband spent the time in the society of the wood nymphs. For some time Procris resisted these suggestions of the goddess, but at last, overcome by jealousy, she followed Cephalus to the forest to see who the maiden was that charmed him. At noonday the weary hunter sought his accustomed resting place, and as he lay beneath a wide-spreading tree, he called to the breeze to come and refresh him. Believing that he referred to some wood-nymph, Procris sat down among the bushes in a swoon. Her husband, hearing the leaves rustle suddenly behind him, hurled his javelin into the thicket, supposing that some wild beast was crouching near him, ready to spring. To his horror he discovered the body of his wife Procris, and though he did all that he could to stanch the wound made by his unerring spear, his wife died in his arms. But not before an explanation had been given. And so, though Aurora had succeeded in separating the lovers forever, she did not thereby gain the affections of Cephalus. She instead was obliged to console herself with a Trojan prince, Tithonus. She begged Jupiter to confer upon him the boon of immortal life, but forgetting that he would sometime grow old, she neglected to ask Jupiter for the greater gift of eternal youth. So for several decades she was happy with her lover, but as soon as he lost the attractions of youth, she wearied of his company, and instead she wanted to get rid of him. So she shut him up in a room of her palace, where his feeble voice could often be heard. And that, knowing that he would never die, she cruelly changed him into a grasshopper. The son of Aurora and Tithonus was Memnon, who became king of the Ethiopians, and he went with a band of warriors to help his kindred in the Trojan War. He fought bravely, but at length met his death at the hands of Achilles. When he fell on the battlefield, Aurora commanded her sons, the winds, to carry his body to the banks of the river Espios in Anatolia, Asia Minor, where a tomb was erected to his memory. To honor him further, Jupiter caused the sparks and cinders from his funeral pyre to be changed into birds, which divided into two flocks and fought until the birds all fell into the flames. Every year, on the anniversary of Memnon's death, the birds returned to celebrate the funeral rites in this same strange way. When the flames from the funeral pyre had burned out, Aurora sat by the ashes of her son, weeping and mourning his loss, and the many tears that she shed turned into glistening dewdrops. In Egypt, there were two colossal statues, one of which was said to be the statue of Memnon, and tradition tells us that when the first rays of morning fell upon it, it gave forth a sound like the snapping of harp strings.